लोग ना बार बार ना होस्ट को चेंज कर रहे थे.
Maybe.
This is one something that one of my friend told me कि उनके साथ भी ऐसा हुआ उनके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में. Then उन्होंने एक ही अकाउंट में एक ही को बोला है, तो अभी कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं हो रहा है. अब I don't know how, मतलब कितना वो करेक्ट है.
It might be a reason. You're right. It's live now. Okay, so we are live. Hi everyone, welcome to the 19th session of ANNEducation, approaching the new normal in education. My name is Saurabh Nanda, and today as you can see, there are only two of us, myself and Pallavi. Hi Pallavi, how are you?
I'm fine.
So I think because of Diwali, and first of all, I mean, belated Happy Diwali to everyone. And there is just so much going on, unlock, and second and third waves of COVID. So it's a little difficult to get together at scheduled times. But keeping the spirit alive, Pallavi and I, we are here, and we will be representing Jasleen, Praneeth, and Priyank in this conversation as well. So we have today's session is not about a particular topic. This is a reflections session wherein we reflect on all the previous sessions that we have done so far. This is the second session of such kind. The first reflections session was it was a sixth session that we did, I think 2 months ago. And since then, from session 7 to session 18, we did not have enough time to reflect on them. So today we're going to talk about all the previous sessions, and hopefully you enjoy this conversation as well. If you have any questions, please put them up on YouTube. We'll try and answer them. All right. So Pallavi, let's begin. I think there's only two of us, so it should be interesting. All right. Session 7 was about leveraging our network with Akshay Kokane, from who's the alumni impact manager at Teach for India. He's also worked with, he has been an India fellow as well, and he has been DFI fellow himself. And we had quite an interesting conversation. What do you think about that? Do you remember it?
Yeah, I remember bits and parts of the episode because we keep on having so many episodes and so many conversations. So it's very difficult to keep a track of all the conversations that we had. But I think I remember how his experiences about how he was associated as a Teach for India fellow and how he felt that it's important to have discussions with children and talk about issues. So yeah, so I exactly don't remember everything, but some parts of the conversation that we had with him.
I mean, it was basically about networking and how that network can help you achieve so many things. And I think Pallavi, you yourself have developed such a vast network during the lockdown itself.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
And
I feel like, for example, if you talk about networking, a lot of people say that Facebook is irrelevant and everything, but trust me, like one post in Facebook and you will say so many people coming up, even if they are not helping, but they're suggesting you names of
Yes.
people who can actually help you. So that is something very interesting that we have learned in the lockdown.
So I think a more structured approach for that network will definitely give you more advantages. And that's what Akshay also talked about, that how things happened in their Teach for India alumni network as well. And how people exchange ideas and how people help each other. So I personally feel that it's a very important thing that they've started, because Teach for India also, I mean, obviously Jasleen and Praneeth can tell us more about it, but from what we know so far, they did not have a very structured way of doing this in 2019 also. So it's something, one of those things that they've started doing properly after COVID-19 only.
I think the best thing about the TFI network that I have seen, because I am not a TFI fellow, but I have seen is that they have everyone who has been a TFI fellow once upon a time.
Hmm.
So if you keep a track of, even if you don't keep a track, if you're a part of the database, there will be someone with some suggestions, some contact in some part of the world who can help you. So that is the best thing about networking. So I think every TFI fellow has somewhere achieved something, even if they have changed their track in terms of not being into education now, but somewhere they have left that mark, you can say. And it's very easy to get across to people, contacts. Definitely you can get through a lot of contacts.
You're absolutely right. In fact, I mean, the first thing that had come to my mind, when Akshay was talking about the TFI alumni network, was the B school network. So, I mean, I've guided a lot of students into, the best B schools in India and abroad, and they have this alumni email, like the institute provides them for life. So, I'm Ahmedabad or ISB or HEC Paris, and they have these, on a daily basis, they have hundreds of emails coming through, opportunities, seeking jobs, seeking advice. And I think if all such organizations, all similar organizations, they start leveraging this itself, a lot of problems will be solved very, very quickly. Okay, so that was it. The first, the session 7. I think that was quite an eye opener for us, and I think after that, we also started leveraging our network quite a bit, inviting more guests, and having more fruitful conversations. Um, the next session, because it was the NEP season that time, was about ECCE, which is Early Childhood Care and Education. Um, and the challenges in implementing the vision of ECCE, which NEP 2020 has, suggested. So, what did you think about that session, Pallavi? Do you think that session was helpful in bringing out challenges which people are not seeing otherwise?
Yeah, that session was good. In fact, because I have worked so much in gender, I always, for any policy or any document, I just go into the gender angle of it. But I think that session was very interesting because we came up with a lot of challenges on ground that
Hmm.
is being faced by educators. We don't talk, we don't generally don't talk also about it, that there is some challenges that's faced by teachers or educators in early childhood education. But then in that session, I think Jasleen and Priyank, they are well versed with this whole concept, and it kind of helped us, for example, for me to learn a lot of things. So that is something that I think it has built the base for me. I can actually go back to it and can refer some of the things that were actually discussed in that session.
Right. I mean, I completely agree with you. In fact, that was the first time probably when, I was exposed to the kind of challenges that Anganwadi workers face. I mean, I knew about the concept, I knew that these workers exist, but the specific challenges that both Jasleen and Priyank pointed out in detail, they were quite revealing and quite insightful that way. So I really enjoyed that session as well. In
I
fact,
feel
hmm,
Yeah, I feel that that session was because if you look at the NEP, that is the first section.
hmm,
But when we talk as educators or social workers or activists as teachers, we miss that part because we always look at the mid-level education or the higher secondary education. So we don't look at the early childhood, that part of education. But then with the inputs that were given, because we come from cities or we come from towns, but what about people those who are staying in the interior parts of the country? For example, as you mentioned about Anganwadi workers, villagers. So that is, India is the population, that is the maximum population where the country resides. So I think it was very important. Even I learned, just when you mentioned about Anganwadi workers, I realized that I also, I read it, but I was not aware about it because I definitely did not work so closely with Anganwadi workers. But somewhere it's important for people, those who are actually working in the ground, to come up with those things and also share their experiences. So that was the best part of that particular session that we had.
you're right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in fact, the stark comparison between what happens in the urban in India and urban childhood education ecosystem as compared to the rural was so well put forward by Priyank. I mean, he just basically talked about the fact that if you don't give them food, how do you expect them to grow into and then perform at grade one? Before grade one, you're not giving them enough food. So that was quite interesting and revealing in a way. So I hope we definitely have another session on NEP after, because after that, I mean, we did have one more session on NEP, but we haven't really discussed amongst ourselves
Hmm.
the other aspects of NEP.
NEP. Hmm.
Hmm. So far, but I mean, congratulations to us in a way, because we've discussed NEP thrice in our
Yeah. Sessions. Yeah.
yeah, and we've also written quite a few articles and comments about it. So I think we've done quite a bit about it, but we need to do more. I think there's quite a lot to be done. Right. Session 9, Pallavi, do you remember? It was one of the most memorable sessions. It was with children
Yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
Janakpuri.
Yeah, so that was the best session out of all the sessions we had, because interacting with the children gave us so much of insights, the ground realities that the children were telling us as students, which you generally do not think, maybe as educators. But they shared some basic truths that we ignore, we choose to ignore. It was not just about using a phone or about their classes. There were so many things. They even told us how they were going to different websites to learn. So that's something. And maths, there was this girl who was talking about maths, and then I asked her how was her experience. She was like, basic, she just scrolls and she just understands. So if you ask me, if I was a child of that age, I think I would never be able to be so much confident in saying that okay, basic to hum kar lete hain, and then the teacher
Hmm.
helps us. So yeah, so that was the best session out of all the sessions that we had.
Truly, absolutely. I mean, that was so. I mean, I remember that session because it reminds me of Gandhiji's talisman. That whatever you do, it should impact that person that you want to impact. Whatever you're doing, and somehow, somewhere, as an educator, sometimes I feel, am I truly impacting the children who really need to be impacted? You know, and post that session, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of different people. I was always interested in starting a nonprofit, and we finally, decided on doing something. So I definitely give credit to that session and Jasleen for inviting those amazing bright girls from that school to really inspire us. Actually, I mean, it was clearly that session was inspiring for us rather than having an academic discussion. I think it was an inspiring session.
And I think it is very important to have discussions with our target population. Of course, we get speakers, those who are well versed in a certain subject, or maybe they are scholars, those who have been working for so long. But we need to get the target population, like the kids. The kids. I'm not saying that the kids had a lot of degree or something, but the things that the kids brought into focus, brought light on, that is something that's worth appreciation. I think one of the kids had written something also and given to us. I don't know the exact
Yes.
thing what she, yeah, so that was something I was really very happy about, that she participated, she took the effort to actually understand and write and then share it with us. The fact that she shared shows that how much of, like, she was definitely courageous, because generally we do not want to at that age. So this is something that I feel we should learn from these children.
Absolutely. In fact, I mean, the other thing that really surprised me was, I mean, two things actually. It just reaffirms that children are very resourceful. If they are stuck somewhere, they will find their way out, and they clearly showed that. Second thing was how important school was for them. Much more important than the academics it offered or the sports it offered. It was more important for them as an escape, and that really shook me, actually, that particular statement. So yeah, I hope we invite them again. What do you think?
Yeah. I really like the part that the children were saying again and again that school was not just about education. School was about spending time with peers. School was about going out, like feeling that fresh air. Like, certain statements definitely were not said by them, but the feeling that going out. to school, and then being at school they could actually focus in the classes. But when it came to home, they were constantly something or the other start always used to happen, which happens with us also when we are doing work from home. So these things which the children observed was something very good for me, because generally what we say, we feel that school means padhai, but the kids were telling us again and again school was not just about padhai, school was more than that.
Exactly. Ah, good days. I really wish, I mean, this Children's Day was Diwali, and the Global Children's Day also happened in, in the previous weeks only. But hopefully we find some another day to invite them over again, and maybe not the same children, maybe this time Pranit's connections from Gujarat, I think. Let's have them over and discuss more. Wow. Okay. Then session 10 was again very interesting. It was, I think it was Priyank's, most passionate session, because he invited one of his professors from TIS Guwahati,
Yeah,
Dr. Razdan,
yeah.
who's the professor in the Department of Social Work in TIS Guwahati. And he was explaining to us about the situation or the condition of higher education systems in the Northeast, particularly.
So that's it. That session was really good. I really enjoyed. With the Rajdan sir was his simplicity, the way he shared how is the present situation there, and how how we need to actually talk about it. Like most of us do not talk about it. So something that was something very interesting, and we all of us participated in that session. So that was
Mm.
something very interesting, because I am from Northeast. Priyank has studied in Northeast, but there are a lot of people who have actually not gone to Northeast. So knowing the ground reality from someone who is teaching in one of the eminent institution in Northeast is like it creates a really big impact and a difference. So that's, we had a lot of questions also in that session. So we were not able to ask questions because there were people in YouTube asking us a lot of questions. So at the end of the day, we decided that okay, time is getting over, so let's not ask questions.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I remember that. Like everyone wanted to ask so many things, and I think it is the most viewed episode that we have had. It is the most followed episode that we've had, and most commented on episode as well. So so that definitely gives us one idea that invite popular professors from good institutions, and you'll get a lot of views on your discussions and a lot of good questions as well.
Also, it's important, I think, that you get professors those who actually are able to impact the student's life, or professors
Yes.
those who are approachable. Because
Yes.
as far as Rajdan sir is concerned, whatever I've heard about him, it's like a lot of people can actually approach him, and he is ready to give inputs. So that is one thing that I had observed in the session also. People were actually shouting accolades on him that okay, Rajdan sir is here. So this is something very interesting.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think isn't that the kind of professor that a university needs? I mean, apart from all the things that he described to us, what Assam government was doing, and the impact, uh, that is the kind of professor that all our universities should have. Academically sound, down to earth, and so approachable. I mean, it's just amazing to have people like Dr. Razan in our higher education system. All right. Session 11 was with your contact, Pallavi, uh, Mr. Avinash Pandey, also known as You Should Tell Us.
Samar Anaria. So that session
Someone.
was, yeah, that session we were talking about NEP and the history of NEP, and how it has, how like it was mostly like a comparison of the other NEPs, and then so that session was very interesting, because while talking with Priyank was telling me that okay, this is the time that the NEP should actually be, this NEP should come, because
Mhm.
this is the best time for the NEP to come. Otherwise, it's not possible. We don't know when, because the last NEP that came, that was like long back. So that, and then he shared with us how we have evolved with the education system. We had a lot of discussions in that session also. As far as questions were asked, I did not ask a lot of questions, uh, short of time. But yeah,
Yeah.
Saurav and Jasleen asked a lot of questions. So that like, and Saurav and Jasleen also had a lot of inputs also, which was very interesting, because generally what happens with sessions, the speaker shares. But that session was interesting because I saw that a lot of our like panelists were themselves aware about a lot of things, and they had their good input. So that session was interesting to me in that way.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that made that session very interesting was because Avinash, although such a knowledgeable guy, he shared his research from JNU, and currently he's in Hong Kong with the Asian Human Resource Commission, I think, Human Rights Commission. And so a person coming from that kind of a background, which is very development oriented, but at the same time connecting the development perspective with education, I think Avinash did a great job over there, and how it was important to have an evolving or a great policy framework in place so that this connection remains. So that was for me the most interesting aspect, and probably that is why I asked so many questions in that particular session. All right. So that was that has been the last session where we have discussed the NEP, and I think it's high time that we discuss more about NEP in one of our future sessions. At least I think we can squeeze in one more session before the new year this time. So let's see. After that was one of my favorite sessions. Again, it was a Teachers' Day special. Um, I've always enjoyed Teachers' Day, right? When from when I was young, and I used to become other teachers till now when I actually became a teacher, and I really enjoyed the part where Jasleen and Praneeth, who are what kind of teachers would I call them? I think they're just teachers who just discovered teaching through Teach for India and fell in love
Yes.
with it. How they shared their views. It was very, very nice, very interesting.
I think the Teachers' Day session, I if you ask me, I don't remember much, maybe because
I don't think you were there, Pallavi, in
I
that
was a
session.
part of the session. I don't think I was a part of the
Yeah,
session.
you were not part of the session. Um, uh, but Praneeth, Priyank, myself, and Jasleen actually did an amazing job
Yeah.
in conducting the session, because she brought in some really innovative questions and things which kind of inspired a lot of conversation around a lot of things, and that is why it was a unique experiment at ANNEDucation also, because we tried doing something different. We tried doing a little in a way sort of ethnography. I mean, you're an ethnographer, so you'll know more, but talking about how we have learned and what we have observed, so it was quite interesting that way. Right. Okay, so moving on to the next one was a guest invited by Jasleen, Mr. Anupam Raj. He's currently doing his pursuing his MS in physics in the US, and he's a very passionate science educator. He already did his MTech from NIT Srinagar in India, and then he went to the US to do another master's, and he's doing quite a few interesting things over there. He was also part of the Homi Jahangir Baba Science Center. He did a small internship or a project over there, and so they. So Pallavi, I mean, what did you think of that session, and what the points that were discussed?
I like the session because I am a complete humanities student. I have no background of science. The way he explained about the education in Srinagar, in India, in NIT, and then how it is there in US, like not he just did not discuss about the differences. He also mentioned certain things that's very common in both the places. So that is something I liked. And one good thing about that session was that he just did not go into complete science thing. So that was very interesting for me because I
Hmm.
was thinking that honestly I will be bored in that session because there are everyone who has a science background. I'm the only one. But then that's something that I really liked about that session because he did not for a moment make me feel that okay fine I am the odd one out there. So that is something really good about the session.
Absolutely. Yeah. Being a student of science and well, from being from one of the NITs in India, I really liked his candid nature about that. If we do not change our ways about teaching science in India, I mean, we can't really
Hmm.
expect much.
Hmm.
The entire thought process has to change. How we interact with science and the concepts has to change. In India, it's all about theoretical knowledge, bookish knowledge, studying for exam. That's about it. Application is very little. Curiosity about science is not really encouraged. Questions are not really encouraged. So yeah, it kind of hit home, because I had the same opinions when I was doing my engineering. Like, what is happening with these people? Why are these people not teaching properly?
Yeah, so the difference between application oriented knowledge that's there in US and the fact that one has to actually stand in long queues to get hold of a certain to do certain experiments. So that is something, some of the things that he told, but he told it in a very positive way. He just wanted to draw our attention to that aspect, which was something very interesting.
True, true, true. Right. So that actually, I mean, reminds me. I mean, we've done so many different kinds of topics now. I mean, it's really interesting to see. If you do not do these reflection sessions, we never really get to know, okay, what all we have discussed already, and it's quite a lot that we've done.
I think we should come up with some either research analysis of all the sessions that we had
Hmm.
to get a glimpse of the different kinds of sessions that we had, because we did not just have educators, we had people as activists, social workers, professors. It was a mix of everyone. So
Hmm.
this is something that I think we should come up with some write up, some research or something, because that will also give us an idea and our viewers an idea about what we have done and how far. See, it is the 19th session, so you can
Hmm.
say we started like 4 months back. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's like 4 plus months, so that's quite an achievement for us actually, to be, if you ask.
You're absolutely right. And like after the last reflection session, also we started talking about writing blogs and all. So we created a publication, and hopefully we'll add more to it. I remember writing an article about the first reflection session. I it was a long article because there were 5 sessions that we discussed. If I have to write again, it's gonna take longer. So quickly, we'll move on to the other sessions, Pallavi. The next session were, I mean, my guests were there, the two international people. That was, I think, the first time we had foreigners on our show. I mean, we definitely had, Professor Anuradha from CUNY before, but they were all, people of Indian origin. So this is the first time we had foreigners on the show. So that is why it made it unique. What did you think about, what things are happening in Denmark and Egypt, and
I
when you
really
compare it with
like
India?
this session because the Egypt, that guy was like, I actually enjoyed so much. He's so young, and then the experiences that he shared was really
Mm,
nice. And I also liked what she shared about the situation in Denmark. So that was because generally what happens, we know the scenario of India, or we know the scenario of someone, as you mentioned, of
mm,
someone who is an Indian but based in America, maybe Indian based. But these were people, those were from that particular country. So their thought process, how the education system is working there. So that session, you can say that was one of my favorite sessions. I just did not want it to get over, but
mm.
we were short of time, so we had to like wrap it up.
Absolutely. In that session, we had invited Bettina Buchholz, who's a linguistic teacher and expert, cross-cultural communication expert from Denmark, and Abdul Rahman, who's an up-and-coming, budding maths teacher, and he's really passionate about how maths was taught. So personally, yeah, it was very fruitful. That particular session was very very satisfying for me as well. Then for session 15 and 16, we actually decided to do discussions within the group, the five of
Mm,
us. 15 was about the role of parents in education and career decisions,
yes.
where I think, and I'm sorry for that, I might have spoken quite a bit because it was about career consultancy and everything. So,
No, I really enjoyed, because to be honest, I keep looking up for your videos and everything, because it's not just about having a discussion. It also is important that the person who is talking leaves an impact. So I enjoyed that session, even if you talked for some time, but I really enjoyed that session. Even a lot of my queries got answered in that session.
then it's a win-win. I think anybody who watches that session, if at all they want to take away something, I think they'll take away these things from that session. And about the World Mental Health Day, which was it's a thing which is very close to my heart. I've been
Hmm.
involved with working towards mental health. officially since 2014, but before that
Mhm.
as well, I've been counseling a lot of people. And we discussed student suicides in India.
Yes.
What do you think, Pallavi? Do you think student suicides are going to decrease, or what's going to happen to the graph?
I feel with the present scenario, I think it's very difficult. I can definitely say that it's not going to decrease because with the pandemic increasing and with parents becoming so busy in both household work and their official work, earlier it was easy for the parents to go out work and come back home. Now it's parents are doing everything at home. And one thing that actually was good in that session was everybody talking that why suicides happen, what is the reason behind suicides happening in this country, and why we are still not able to address that issue. We are not still talking about mental health. We think mental health is a taboo. We think that mental health means madness. That's another myth that's there in the country. So I think if you ask me, I hope it decreases, but I'm not seeing. So
Mhm.
that's one thing. But then because you people have shared so many instances and you are an educator, you have been working for so long with your experiences, you talk to kids, you are a counselor, consultant, everything. So you told me so many things because I don't talk to kids every day. You talk to kids every day. So I felt that you have actually a better say in this, if you ask me.
You're very kind. So yeah, I mean, absolutely. Till the time, as Priyank also rightly pointed out in that session, till the time we stop associating education with economic benefits or monetary benefits, we are not going to overcome this situation of student suicide because of not getting marks at least. So one of the reasons for student suicide is not getting enough marks or not performing well. I think it's not going to go away till the time we stop or we detach education with economic benefits. So, you do well and you'll get a good job. Wo wala funda we have to take away. All right.
Yes.
Then section 17, I think it was one of the most passionate discussions that we had because we had two amazing guests, Dr. Aarti Anand,
And
who's a
Surabhi.
clinical consultant, clinical psychologist at Sir Gangaram Hospital, New Delhi. And we have Surbhi Yadav, the founder of Saje Sapne and Women at Leisure, who's currently working in remote Himachal Pradesh towards upliftment of marginalized communities. And they discussed a topic which I think is also very close to your heart: the
Yeah.
impact of COVID-19 which in increasing the gender inequality which already existed.
Yeah. So that session was very interesting for me because ma'ams gave it all the details as a person who has been interacting with people, those who are having mental health issues or people, those who are facing problems. But when it came to Surbi, she is working with people, those who are actually survivors, or you can say victims of the gender inequality. She's working in interior Himachal. So it was, you can say, a comparative analysis for all of us. And because Saurav works with kids, those who come from, those who are reaching him as a counselor or a consultant, and I work on gender inequality. I think that session, the time just time just flew, I feel. And we had so much to talk. We had so much to talk about this toxic masculinity. We had so
Mm.
much to talk about patriarchy. We also talked about women promoting patriarchy. So many things. So I think that session was really interesting for us, and also a lot of learning happened in that session.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean that session where it because I remember Dr. Atyanan telling me that she does not have a lot of time. She has a client meeting actually. But and the session had started late because she could not join in because of technical issues. But she actually stayed the entire time, and in fact, she had to reschedule the client meeting later on. But she was so passionate about the session. And Survi also, I mean, initially she was a little hesitant, but then she opened up and she started sharing so many things. I also remember Pallavi. I think you had some engagement, so you had to leave.
Yeah,
But post
I
the
left
session,
early. But they talked. So that is one thing.
yes,
The 1 hour session exceeded to, I think, one and a
oh
half
yeah.
hours or more.
So after the session, like after the live streaming was ended, then we had another half an hour. So that was quite a discussion. And well, yeah, well, congratulations to Surbi if you're watching. We all know that you've been able to raise so many funds for these people.
In just a matter
Uh,
of 4 days.
in a matter of 4 days. All the more power to you. I hope the people that you're trying to help, they really receive the kind of attention that they deserve. And thank you so much for doing this, Supreet. All right. And the last session was impact of pollution on children's education. Certain schools in Delhi were asked to shut down because the
Mm.
pollution levels increased so much in the last couple of weeks in October and the first week of November. We discussed quite a few things on that as well. What do you feel, Pallavi? You're currently in Delhi. How is it? Do you think the pollution is coming down in our major cities?
It's very bad. It's very bad. It is like, because why I will say this, it's a personal experience. When I took a flight from Bangalore, because I was staying in Bangalore, I was seeing fog. But when the flight was going to land in Delhi, I did not know that Delhi has come. Even when it landed, I was like, okay, where am I? It's like black and yellow. And the insensitive nature of people of bursting so much of crackers. So that's something. Already we have smog and fog. It's a mix of both. You Saurav is not here. Saurav is I don't know if Saurav is feeling it. We have this burning sensation all the time in our eyes. Whenever we go out, we need to we need to tell the driver ki खिड़की उठा दो नहीं तो we will our eyes will burn. So this is the situation right now, and I can't even imagine for children, small children, how difficult it is for them. How long can we shut schools? That's my question. How long? Kitne din? Because this is pollution is not going to go down. People are still doing the same thing. Even you can't imagine sort of yesterday from night 4 o'clock, people started busting crackers because of chat. So you know
I
how
know.
the situation is.
I know. And it's not only about Delhi. I mean, Delhi kind of triggered that topic on us. You take any major city in India, like Bangalore, we all know about Lake Belandur and the water problems over there. Mumbai, we all know about the fact that uh, there is always flooding, and that is partly responsible for a lot of pollution which it causes. At the same time, it's everywhere. And you talked about infants and small children. What can they do in such situations? It's equivalent to taking away rights from those living beings, those human beings, without them even knowing about it, isn't it? Like we are responsible for all the pollution,
I was
and they
just
are not, but they are the most suffered. Like they will suffer the most.
Yeah, I was just seeing the animals, the dogs, the cows. You can't imagine the way they were terrified. And senior citizens, there were people, those who were, some of them told me that it seems the building was shaking. It was it was difficult, it was terrible for infants
Mm.
were panicking, they were shouting, and a lot of things. So I think pollution, of course we have pollution, we know that, because of the burning of so many crops and everything that's there. But on top of that, what we are doing, we are again adding more and more fuel to that pollution. That's what is a big problem.
Yeah. Well, it definitely deserved a discussion, and I think we did a quite a good job. Pallavi, what do you think? Where do you think we should take our conversations further? And I think then we can conclude this conversation today, because I I just don't want that the two of us keep discussing. I think others,
So
whenever we go
I
around.
feel we need to definitely do a session on NEP. Uh,
Mm,
we need to really talk it out. And right now, with the present scenario of the pandemic rising every day, and because I'm working so much, I have seen so much of domestic violence, so much of domestic violence with this pandemic. People, we say that we are all educated, we don't do anything wrong, we just blame it on people those who are uneducated and poor कि सारा crime तो वही करते हैं, सब कुछ गलत वही करते हैं. I think we need to
mm,
come up with sessions where we need to talk about the fact that despite being educated, despite being privileged, we also end up doing certain things that's definitely wrong. And with the pandemic, there is a huge increase in crime. For, I'm not saying just about women. Another thing that I want to address is that we only talk about कि औरतों के साथ गलत होता है. No, it's not like that. मर्दों के
mm,
साथ भी गलत होता है. So let's just talk about कि मर्दों के साथ भी गलत. Just talk about all the genders. Let's just not talk about only women. So I think these are the sessions that we need to talk about in future, in the coming sessions. Definitely, we can talk about
mm.
pollution, because pollution is not going anywhere. We all are a part, becoming victims of this. So we need to talk
Yeah,
about all this.
no, you're absolutely right. In fact, these are definitely amazing topics. NEP, one more discussion, and what does it mean to be educated? I think the definition of being educated, I think that's a very, very philosophical question, and I'm sure Praneeth and Priyank both are going to love that topic as well, and definitely discussions about other genders. I personally would like to see a little more on you know the implementation part of NEP, like what has been happening and other things. And apart from that, I would also like to probably invite some school teacher this time. You know, school teacher from maybe a private school. Like we've talked about government schools, we've done some sessions as well. Maybe a private school because 50% of the students in India they still study in private schools only.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
So a
Even I
school
feel
teacher, maybe a school principal, one of those people.
I think we can also have sessions on you telling about your experiences. How has been your experience working with children pre post pandemic and before the pandemic? Like how do you think as an educator, as a consultant, what is your experience? How do you think that, are you stressed out talking to kids? Because we need to hear from your experience also, because you've been talking to kids on a daily basis. You are taking sessions with different principals, different educational institutions. So I think it's important to hear you also, you out. So that's what I think, another one session we need to do with you also.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think I would love to share my thoughts, and I think Priyank will also be, very interested in that particular conversation because he's also been helping me doing that those things now. So yeah, let's do that. Well, Pallavi, I think we've talked enough. We cannot, take it any further. 40 minutes. Thank you everyone for watching, and I know this is a small session, but there were only two of us. The other three were either busy or personally engaged somewhere and were not able to join us. But next session in the next fortnight, we'll definitely be there, all of us, and we'll be doing some amazing discussion again. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Saurav, for being such an amazing host. Like always, you are.
Thank you, Pallavi.